Chapter 11. The Headline Story. What you read affects what you see. How? Because when you change your perspective on something, the something you are looking at changes. Remember, we don't see with our eyes, we see through our eyes. Advertisers know that if they make you feel bad about yourself or your stuff, then they can sell you their stuff. They also know that if they can associate their product with the life you want, then you will buy it. By now, everyone knows that a headline determines how many people will read an article, particularly in this era of social media. However, what's even more interesting is a headline changes the way people read an article and the way they remember it. The headline frames the rest of the experience. A headline can tell you what kind of article you are about to read. For example, news, opinion, research, etc., and it sets the tone for what follows. However, here is an interesting point. The person that writes the story for a newspaper is generally not the same person who writes the headline. That is why a headline can be misleading. Psychologists have long since known that first impressions really do matter. What we see, hear, feel, or experience in our first encounter with something colors how we process the rest of it. More than that, our preconceptions or earlier information can completely alter how we view a story. For example, here's a simple story about a situation at a party. Before I tell you the story, I'm giving you a piece of information, a headline, about one of the participants. Joe's wife has been telling her friends that she is no longer happy in her marriage. This headline may be true or it may not be true. Let's see how it plays out. The story. At a large party, Joe has managed to lose his wife. It's a big house, and there are a lot of people there. He cannot find his best friend Michael either, even though he saw him coming in earlier. He calls his wife on her mobile phone but gets no answer. His best friend Michael is not answering his phone either. Joe shrugs and thinks she must be in a group of other women having a laugh. He wanders out onto the patio and meets some old friends that he hasn't seen for a while and gets into conversation with them. Later, his wife joins him. He notices that she seems a little flustered. She explains that she was in a deep conversation with her friend in the kitchen and hadn't heard her phone ring. Joe asks her if she has seen their friend Michael. She said she had seen him earlier, and he had left the party because he had a meeting to go to. Joe is surprised that he had left without saying goodbye. The following day, Joe gets home early from work. His wife is not there. When he's taking some things from his car, he starts chatting with his neighbor. "Did you see if my wife was home this afternoon?" Joe asks. "Well, I wasn't going to say anything to you, Joe," says the neighbor, "but I did see her red Toyota outside Michael's house earlier." So, what are you thinking now? Have you made a judgment on the story? Have you engaged your emotions and come to an opinion that is outside the facts of the story? Now, reread the story, but use this information as the headline instead of the first one. It will be Joe's 40th birthday next week. Plans for a big party or being secretly prepared. Without knowing if the headline you were given was true or not, can you see how you make a potentially dangerous emotional judgment based on someone else's opinion? The story may be told accurately, but if it is colored by a piece of pre-information or headline, it can completely alter your opinion of it. The actual story takes second place to the emotion and your opinion of it, which has now become the main story. We all have internal headlines. They are related to our experiences, and we will often make a judgment on a story based on how we relate to the headlines. In the example above, if you've had an experience where someone in your life was unfaithful to you, your default headline might be, "The wife in the story is unfaithful and having an affair." Your emotional judgment could condemn her as guilty without a fair trial. On the other hand, if you have never experienced unfaithfulness from a partner, then you might not consider that in the story. So, apart from the more obvious lesson of don't build your opinions based on headlines, I want to ask you this. What are the headlines you see over your own life? Are they disarming you or helping you? Are they misleading? As much as a mission statement can motivate you, a headline can devastate you. It is natural that you will view the story to justify the sentiment of the headline. Your headline is an insight into your self-image, your values, your expectations, and experiences. You might well have different headlines for different parts of your life, just as a paper has different headlines on each section or topic it covers. The stories may be factual to your life, but what emotional slant are you putting on them with your pre-story headlines? So, what sections of your life do you have pre-story headlines? Allow me to suggest some. Front page, the leading story. This will be the overarching headline you have given yourself. Your self-image headline. I just don't seem to get any lucky breaks. I'm just not cut out for success. I simply can't afford the life I want and probably never will. If only I was as smart as my brother or sister. Now, add in whichever one of the below that you have chosen for yourself. I could be successful, but I haven't enough money. I haven't enough time. I'm afraid I'll fail. I'm not talented enough. I wasn't born in the right area or country. It isn't the right time to start. I'm overwhelmed by the size of my goal or vision. I'm too old. I'm too young. It's just who I am. It isn't meant to be. My family and friends don't think I am capable. I didn't have the right teachers. I'm not really motivated. I never know what I really want to do. I'm never quite ready to start. I don't think I'm cut out to be successful. I simply don't believe in me enough. It's really not my fault that I'm unsuccessful. It's because. Add in the one you most often use if yours is not there. Now look at the next headline, perhaps social. I always feel awkward when I meet new people, so I try to avoid it. I don't feel my life is interesting enough to talk about. I don't like my appearance, so I don't interact with others. I always say something I shouldn't because I'm uncomfortable. I always feel less than the people around me. I'm embarrassed because I'm unsuccessful. I find it difficult to look people in the eye. I feel awkward when shaking hands. In most social gatherings, I just can't wait to leave. It's not my fault that I'm unsocial, it's because, again, add in your own favorite headline for social. What about health? I hate being overweight, but I can't help it. I just can't seem to break the bad habits I have. I eat badly because that's the way I was raised. I find exercise boring. I don't have the time to cook a healthy meal. It's not my fault that I'm unhealthy. What about work? I hate my job, but it's the only one I can get. I'm not qualified to do any worthwhile job. Nobody wants to pay me what I'm worth. I work with a lot of useless people. My boss is a fill in the blank. It's not my fault that my job makes me unhappy. Can you see how your headlines affect how you live your life? I feel a little depressed after just writing these lines, never mind living them. But what can I do to change them, I hear you ask. Well, you put them there, you chose them, and you can choose to change them. It is going to take some thinking and a little work. However, I promise you, every ounce of effort, every degree of change, every little step on your new path will make such a massive difference to you that after a short while you'll be hooked. New habits will start to form. You'll be feeling a lot better and lighter in your step. Imagine having a headline that gets you excited every time you think of it. So, what new skills do you need to learn to change your headlines? None at the moment. This whole operation is carried out in your head while you are driving, walking, or sitting down. The only things you need are 1. The will to do it. 2. Some reading and thinking time. 3. A place where you won't be distracted for a few minutes each day. Everybody who brings point 1 to the table can and will achieve amazing results. So, how come some people seem to be successful almost without any effort? First thing is this. That's a headline in your head that you need to scrap. Truth is, they don't succeed without any effort. You just don't see their efforts because the majority of their effort goes on in their head in their quiet place. Please believe me, that is where all the battles, all the successes, or all the failures happen. The good news is, you can control what goes on in your head. Reasons why people succeed. They have desire, have a plan, have a winning attitude, have enthusiasm, have an attitude of continual learning, are efficient, allow themselves time to think and grow, believe in themselves, have peace, have support, have expectation, have gratitude, have the will to do it. Reasons why people don't succeed: self-imposed limitations, distractions from their goal or have no goal, good at making excuses, no social IQ. You can easily judge the character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. No social EQ. Find it hard to relate to others. Interaction is awkward and difficult. Procrastination. I'll start tomorrow. Afraid of risk. Can't or won't make decisions. Sitting on the fence. Fear of failure. So, now that you know the headlines that you currently believe about yourself, let's get started writing the new ones. Here's where you get to do a little thinking. Start writing the headlines you want to have in each area of your life. Don't let any perceived barriers get in the way. We'll get to the barriers later. For now, just imagine the headlines you would love most to be true of you. Get a blank piece of paper and just write them down as they come into your head. Write lots of them. We'll pick out the really good ones in a minute, the ones we can build on. If you have done this exercise, then you are already feeling good about yourself, even if you can't quite believe those headlines belong to you yet. Now, as you choose the first one or two that you would like to adopt, ask yourself, what would it take for you to become the person that would merit that headline? Make a list of the many attributes that this person might have. I believe you will find that the attributes are almost exclusively attitudes. No special training required. So, what is an attitude and where can you get one? According to the dictionary, an attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling about something. A point of view, vantage point, frame of mind, way of looking at things, outlook, or perspective. Attitudes are free and available for each individual to choose. The attitudes you currently have were chosen by you, and therefore you can also choose to change them. It is just about as simple as that. What you will need to get over are your autoresponders, those automatic responses to situations you face that bring your negative headlines to the forefront of your mind. Think back to the last chapter. Wait. Just delay your autoresponse for 5 seconds, and you will have the power to recognize it and change it to your new headline. Don't beat yourself up if your old headline jumps up before you get to change it. That's normal at the start. However, once you realize that it has happened, change it. Becoming conscious of what you are thinking and why you are thinking it will have a dramatic impact on the words you speak, on the emotions you feel, and on the results you get. Remember, you are an awesome person, creative and resourceful. You are designing and building a designer life for yourself, and every time you make a change, no matter how small or how long it takes, you are getting one step closer to that life. You are doing great, so stick at it. Quote, headlines can mislead you because bad news is a headline and gradual improvement is not.